Using AI on your website will get you penalized with Google. Unpopular opinion, myth, theory. You get all these wild cases hitting me up, and look, it's something I've been studying for a while, and so this is purely my opinion and what's working for me. Now, I rank websites, meaning I do things to websites that make Google and the search engines and AI overviews and AI language models choose us, right? I optimize the site so the robots can find us, choose us, and consider us more trustworthy, right? That's the core of what I do. In order to do this, I'm constantly, forever studying how Google makes those decisions. Now, how do I study? I study by deconstructing competitors, sites that go up, sites that go down. I also have about 800 of my own domains I call them test sites. If they drop, no biggie. Some of them are generating leads, some of them are ranked at the top, some of them, they're all getting traffic somewhere. I also have a whole bunch of mentors all around the world that really just check in once a week, once a month, and we all just bro down and share what works and what doesn't. And this is what happens when you're obsessed with what you do. You'll find all of the details. Back to the topic. AI content can get you penalized. I've tested this. I rolled this out on hundreds of sites. So if the goal is if you're just building a landing page website, just like a business card website, it's absolutely fine to jump into ChatGPT or Claude or your favorite language model and say, write me a landing page text for a plumber in Melbourne. And it will spit out some generic stuff, which is probably far more superior than what you could have written if you were to do that. However, if you're just jumping into the language model, ChatGPT, and say, how do I choose a wedding dress? It will spit out its answer that is probably spat out 1,000,000 times and is already regurgitated. If ChatGPT's AI's language model could just spit it out like that, means if you publish that on your site, that particular post is going to have very little value to the World Wide Web with nothing unique and no new information. So in other words, it's going to pollute the index. I'm not saying it's garbage. I'm just saying Google these days and all search engines are cleaning up on content that is unneeded. Like, how many articles on how to choose a wedding dress do we need? So if you're just putting together some descriptions for your website and the goal is just to fill it out, make it professional, it's absolutely fine to use AI. If the goal is to rank the website, this is where it gets a bit tricky. There's no magical algorithm that simply penalizes your website for using AI. Google doesn't look at your site, okay, that phrase was created with ChatGPT, these guys are going to get penalized. In fact, completely AI websites can absolutely rank. So text that's completely created with ChatGPT can rank. However, there's a bit of it depends that goes with it. If Eugenius over here does personal research on the correlation between Julio's balls over here, this is Julio, and the circumference of this ball mixed with the levitating tiles of that roof, that is unique, I wouldn't know if it's meaningful, mix some Egyptian snow shovels in it, but completely feed it into AI to write. That content is fully AI written, but it's also fully unique, new, different. It shows a value, different type of value. So in other words, if you're just throwing in, write me a blog on Blue Mountain tours, you're going to get the same garbage that anyone else can get. That content is not good. But if you're going to go and research the best roads yourself, comment on it yourself, give statistics and personal experiences, and you should climb that tree while you're walking down that road in Blue Mountains, that content is far more unique, far more valuable. If you write that with your tone, you can still write it with ChatGPT or AI or Grammarly or whatever, but that content is going to rank. It's going to help you rank. Now, content like a piece of blog these days, blog traffic is heavily down. Why? Because a lot of the common blog questions, how do I do this, where do I go for that, are answered by AI. But the value of those blogs is still incredibly important to prove to AI and Google and all the language models that you are a trustworthy authority on the topic. When you load that blog on Blue Mountains Tours on this road that you took to get to this over here, and that goes there, and the sunset goes down at this time, and you should check out the sunset at this outlook, that's unique, that's valuable, that's yours. Now, no doubt someone will grab it, rewrite it and whatnot. It's a game of cat and mouse, it never ends. That's why the SEO goalposts never move. So I think the point that I'm trying to make across, it's not the fact that you're using AI to create it. All of our content is still created by manual editors and writers, empowered with all of the custom GPTs, AIs, typing minds, Claudes, to all of the cool tools that each play a different role. For example, Notebook LM is incredible for research. We grab sources from SEMrush, Ahrefs, and throw it into Notebook LM. Ahrefs, SEMrush, we're at Surfer SEO. And so when we're writing an article on how to choose a wedding dress, we have 300 sources. We send crawlers to the subreddits of Reddit, Quora, forums, right? We have TikTok videos transcribed, YouTube videos transcribed to make sure that our research is best in class. Then we have a layer of completely altering the voice and tone of the writer. Every client now has a unique tone with blocked words, with phrases, Aussie terms, Aussie events, and the wedding space mentioning upcoming dates of seminars, webinars, showcases, show reels, whatever that goes on in the wedding space, whatever the industry might be. So we research the shit out of that industry. And so that is a separate prompt custom GPT project. In other words, separate workflow. Then comes the creation part. Now, so I guess moral of the story is if you're creating, doesn't matter how you create the content, you could sit down, manually write it, type it up with your fingernails, hand write it, because you hand write it, human write it. If it's the same regurgitated stuff that everyone else wrote, doesn't matter if it's AI or not, it's not going to deliver any value to the World Wide Web. Dot points, numbered lists, infographics, they all can help as long as they're sharing something that's new and not regurgitated. Take it from someone who has been regurgitating for the last 15 years because it's been working. Best welding jackets, literally in, was it 2014 or 2013, I just went and grabbed the top 20, hired writers to just combine the top 20, rewrite it, make it unique, and have a different opinion. And my articles just skyrocketed. I did that in the wedding space for many years, where we just literally grabbed whatever was at the top 20, just completely rewrote it, made it unique, and my stuff just ranked because I deconstructed the elements that were the top 10. That's what AI does right now. That's what ChatGPT and Claude does. It looks at the top ranking sites and it gives you the answers. So it's doing that already. So using AI content isn't going to get you penalized on its own because it's just a tool. But using AI content to make useless content just means that your site's not going to, Google may not show those pages on the site. Not necessarily going to get you penalized, or that on its own is going to make your rankings drop. It's just they'll look at that page and be like, yeah, this blog on these Blue Mountains tours is not really useful. But they also could be other factors. One is authorship. Who's the writer? Who's the author? Or is it just team at website? General authority, backlinks. It could be a perfectly written, unique article, and because there's just not enough juice coming to your site, it's not going to get anywhere. Yeah. Use the tools. Be at the front of the tools. Just make sure you're not polluting the internet with the regurgitated stuff. Make it useful. Have it serve a purpose. So if someone does land on that, they don't need any other resources on that particular topic. And most likely, it's not the traffic that you're going to get, but it's actually the respect from Google. They're going to start quoting you. They're going to show your results in the AI overviews. And that's how Google will trust your website more than your competitor. And potentially those old pages are going to get on your competitors' pages that haven't been, they're regurgitated, they haven't been rewritten, they haven't been revisited, they're just going to be de-indexed. It's going to be interesting to see what will happen in a few months and a year, and it's just getting, content's just getting better. Everything's getting better. It's so cool.